You ever spend time with someone rich and suddenly realize that they think you are the quirky one? Like you tell them you grew up fixing your own toilet with a butter knife and they look at you like you just admitted to ritual sacrifice? Meanwhile, their Scrooge McDuck self doesn't even know how to operate a washing machine. Welcome to the strange divide between working class logic and rich people confusion. Today we're walking through 11 habits that are totally normal in working class homes but tend to confuse wealthy people. If you grew up hearing, "we have food at home," or wearing your brother's hand-me-downs, oh, you're gonna feel seen. Number 1, fearing credit cards. Rich people use credit cards like it's a rewards program because when you have the money to pay your credit card off every month, it kinda is. People with fat wallets are out here racking up rewards and travel points and somehow funding a full trip to Fiji using only credit card perks. Working class people, on the other hand, the mere mention of a credit card causes many of us a trauma response. If you're working class, you've probably seen what happens when interest snowballs and late fees pile up. Suddenly you're arguing with some bank representative named Doug at 2 a.m. while crying into a bowl of cereal. Constant debt is terrifying and exhausting. Even if you need a credit card to afford basic necessities, you're probably incredibly anxious and stressed about using it. If you were raised in a working class household with some level of financial literacy and emotional regulation, you probably learned not to take on unnecessary credit. So yeah, working class people are not playing with that fire unless they absolutely have to. Number 2, watching mindless entertainment. The rich unwind with ski trips and yacht excursions and intimate dinner parties with world-renowned thought leaders or whatever. I don't know what they do, but it all sounds nice, right? Working class people, on the other hand, are of course cleaning our own homes, watching our own kids, and running our own errands. So a break for us is often just binging 7 hours straight of Real Housewives while eating straight from a bag of shredded cheese. That's really all we can manage after dealing with the stress of our daily lives. Wealthy people, of course, have the freedom to choose how they want to spend their free time and can invest in habits that add value to their lives. But when you've worked a double shift, fed and bathed 3 kids, and fixed the broken dryer with the help of a YouTube video and a $3 part from Amazon, there's not really the energy or resources left to do much more than dissociate. And speaking of broken dryers, number 3, fixing things yourself. Wealthy people just call up the appliance store, buy a new one, have it installed, have the old one hauled away, probably all while they were doing financial fraud in Saint-Tropez or something and not even paying attention. But we working class people, when we need something repaired, we figure it out, even if it means learning a new skill or spending more time on a project to save money. And that's why I know how to do a full brake job on a car, and yes, I'm available to do yours for a nominal fee. Anyway, it's often said that time is a measure of affluence. When you're rich, it can be spent, wasted, or saved by things like just calling a dude to fix your dryer, for example. For working class people, it's often the inverse. Time is often the cheapest commodity we can spend because there's so little money lying around. So sure, it may eat up an entire weekend to do that aforementioned brake job, but it saves me a good $500 in the process. It is what it is. Number 4, buying in small batches. Wealthy people go to Costco for sport and drop hundreds of dollars like it's no big thing. They've got the money and the space for serious bulk shopping. The rest of us often find ourselves buying just enough toilet paper to make it to payday. The irony is that it's usually cheaper, often by a lot, to buy in bulk, but that also requires you to have the money to shell out up front. As a wise person once said, 50 cents is not a bargain when you don't have 50 cents. We don't want to overdraw over bananas and a giant bottle of hand soap. Rich people often see this as inefficient, and it kinda is, but they just don't always understand that we don't always have the ability to stock up. Number 5, working multiple jobs. Ah yes, the classic side hustle, so fun. Studies have found that more Americans are taking on second and third jobs than ever, as prices keep soaring and wages aren't rising anywhere near fast enough to keep up. Rich folks don't really get this. They work for fulfillment if they work at all. They can follow their passions and build their investments and then make even more money trying to teach the rest of us how to be just like them. Meanwhile, working class people are working so the lights stay on. Rich people's side hustle is the working vineyard they bought in Napa for fun. Ours is driving DoorDash all weekend. We are not the same. Number 6, appreciating stability and security. Rich people often romanticize risk. They'll urge you to dump your money in the stock market or say things like, you should just quit your job and follow your passion. Babe, my passion is being able to afford my prescriptions and put gas in my car so I can drive to my soul-crushing job. Stability, that's what lights up us working class types. Okay, not really, but a steady paycheck, working heat, and the thrill of opening the fridge and seeing actual groceries is intoxicating. Wealthy people have the time and money to take risks, so it's not surprising that they tend to have bigger payouts and more fun experimenting than someone who's living paycheck to paycheck. It's not because they're necessarily better at life than the rest of us. They're usually just privileged. Number 7, avoiding conversations about money. Working class people often won't talk about money because it's frequently our experience that money has made our lives harder, not easier. Good old financial trauma. Many of us were raised to never make a peep about our finances, and according to a Bankrate survey, conversations about money are collectively more uncomfortable than religion or politics, especially for people with financial struggles and insecurity. Wealthy people, by contrast, often treat money talk like it's casual weather convo, openly talking about how well their investments are doing or whatever. They just kind of aren't bothered by it. Number 8, buying flashy status symbols. Rich people love quiet luxury, but a lot of working class people like to be a bit more flashy about it, rocking logos everywhere and strutting around in a pair of Jordans we definitely can't afford. Working class people often feed into trends and consumerism because sometimes you need the world to see you're trying, or feel like you belong. It can be a symbol that makes you feel like you've made it, even if, you haven't really. Number 9, using payment plans and payday loans. Klarna, Afterpay, and all those shady apps that let you buy now and cry later can feel like lifelines. Nearly 30% of Americans are still struggling to afford basic necessities despite being employed, and a full third of us are using cash advance apps, payment plans, and payday loans to stretch our paycheck to paycheck money. But the predatory nature of these apps and loan sharks makes them a truly terrible investment, and even a dangerous one should you end up missing a single payment and trigger their cascading fees and interest. But what rich people often fail to understand is that most people don't use these services because they're incompetent or irresponsible. It's usually because they feel like they have no other choice. Number 10, overlooking preventative healthcare. Preventative healthcare is great if you can afford it, and almost none of us can except for the wealthy. Rich people have personal trainers, nutritionists, specialists, therapists. They see their primary physician regularly, and because they have this time and money to invest in their health, there's a growing life expectancy gap based on income. You have money, you live longer. The rest of us, on the other hand, often aren't going to the doctor at all. Working class people are going into medical debt at unprecedented rates because health insurance companies have become so usurious and predatory that often life-saving care is deemed unnecessary, let alone preventative care. Or they'll approve the care one day and then deny it after you've already received it and slap you with a giant bill you can't pay. So it creates a cycle of rationing inhalers and insulin while praying that the WebMD diagnosis we Googled isn't too terrifying. And finally, 11, cooking every meal at home. If you grew up in a working class home, you heard the phrase, "we have food at home" all the time because your parents absolutely were not paying for McDonald's. Cooking allowed food money to stretch, and leftovers became tomorrow's lunch, saving some of tomorrow's money ahead of time too. Wealthy people, of course, tend to spend based on preference and convenience. If something sounds good or they don't feel like cooking, they can just order takeout or go to a restaurant. Different worlds. So next time a wealthy person blinks at you in confusion when you mention cutting your own hair with kitchen scissors, just smile and nod. Wealthy people don't get it, and that's fine. At least we're resourceful and have self-sufficiency skills, right? So what about you? Drop a comment if you grew up doing any of these working class habits, or if you still do them.